This is my Valentine, and you're watching Stephen Blocker's channel.
One of the most iconic parts of Yu-Gi-Oh's opening is its very last shot, concluding with a triumphant shot of Yugi surrounded by his best monsters. Or are they? Yep, we're going to go through every Yu-Gi-Oh opening and see what role the monsters that surround Yugi play. Let's see how many of these monsters are truly shining stars and who are just nepotism babies. This is their role to Yugi himself, not to other duelists. Starting with Duelist Kingdom, we have Exodia, Summon Skull, the Dark Magician, Celtic Guardian, and Guy the Fierce Knight, all of which are very recognizable staples to even non-fans of the series. Let's start with Exodia. Exodia is very famous, arguably one of the most famous cards in the entire game, as it's the first alternate win condition we see, plus one of the most iconic moments in the anime. So it might surprise you that after Yugi beat Kaiba with it, it never came back again. Not with Yugi at least. Remember, in episode 3, Weevil Underwood trashed it in the ocean. The only times it ever showed up again? Well, the first Rare Hunter used it against Yugi and Joey, and then Yugi defeated it and proved he'd moved past it. Gozaburo Kaiba used a reverse Exodia, Exodia Necros, just to taunt Kaiba, still affected by his loss to Yugi. Dark Magician. You don't need me to tell you how important the Dark Magician is to Yugi. It's his ace monster. It's his Pikachu, really. Yugi even chose it to represent him in the duel with Bakura, when him and his friends are all in those costumes. While not always the ace in the hole or the game winner, Dark Magician is always there, and the card his deck revolves around most. So while not used to its full potential early on, Yugi does eventually start souping him up with some dang powerful combos and cards specifically made for him, and using him to his full potential. Like basically accidentally sabotaging Joey by giving him Time Wizard to make Dark Sage, turning him from young and confident to, well, an elderly wizard who can basically do everything, and literally cheats the game. And then, to beat Pegasus, he uses a super powerful evolved Dark Magician, Magician of Black Chaos, to help win and finally defeat Pegasus. And then once we get to Battle City, Yugi begins giving him very proper support, along with an apprentice. Dark Magician is a staple, but you already knew that. Summon Skull. Well, I personally always found Summon Skull to be ill-fitting for Yugi's deck, given its very menacing design. I cannot sit here and deny its power. 2,500 attack. Would you believe this card was actually meta at the time, despite having no effect? 2,500 attack for a 1 tribute monster? Summon Skull actually started off really strong, nearly beating Pegasus, if only the time didn't run out. And he won the duel against Weevil for being electric. Yugi fuses it against the Paradox Brothers. Yugi fuses it against the Paradox Brothers. And then again, it's fused by Joey, who steals it to use it for that same purpose. It fuses with the Red Eyes Black Dragon, making this sick looking demon dragon hybrid. Oh my god, this thing is absolutely fantastically designed. Summon Skull is like the second in command powerful dragon to the main boss, being Dark Magician, like being the Odd Job or the Jaws in the James Bond series. Shockingly, he's actually used very little after Duelist Kingdom, which is crazy for how strong he is, and for only being 1 tribute, his last hurrah, winning the game for Yugi against the Exodia Rare Hunter, before being brought out one last time for nostalgia's sake in the Yugi vs. Atem climactic final battle. I salute you, my friend. You earned your spot here. Guy the Fierce Knight. Guy rode in on a horse with no name and often replaced his steed with a dragon. Here's the weird part. He's Earth. Curse of Dragon is dark, yet their fusion is wind. So 2 completely different types make a third different type. Weird. Guy the Fierce Knight actually gets very little time to shine. It does destroy Cocoon of Evolution, which just makes the slightly weaker Great Moth come out. By himself, Gaia rarely ever shines, often either being fused or sacrificed for his Dragon Champion form, or for Blackluster Soldier. He does defeat Saggy the Dark Clown, which just lets Kaiba activate Crush Card Virus. Huh. Wow. Pretty underwhelming, honestly. But then again, after Season 1, he's never heard from again. Celtic Guardian. A blonde elf swordsman who wears green and has light white tights. Oh, so he's basically like Link. That's who I'm reminded of anyway. Celtic Guardian sadly doesn't have much of an impact on the deck. He's like a field scout. He always gets summoned really early into the duel, and is often destroyed by the first monster the opponent plays. He's usually there just to test the waters. However, his retrain, Obnoxious Celtic Guardian, gets quite a bit of love in the Noah Virtual World arc. He's a level 4 monster who doesn't actually get many wins, but he's loyal and always there. He does destroy one monster, Grappler, from the Ghost Kaiba duel, and he stays on the field in that duel till the end of the game. Unfortunately, that's as good as it gets. He actually almost gets the win against Kaiba, but the opportunity was just snatched away. He must have felt like Buzz Lightyear when he learned he couldn't actually fly. And then after Season 1, not counting his retrain at least, he was never seen again. So in summary, while iconic, most of the monsters that surround Yugi don't really play much of a role in the series. One monster went on to greatness and became the iconic mascot of the series. One was a total unit who earned their spot in the deck. One of them went kind of away super fast, despite being a total legend in the deck. And then two who were just there. But hear me out. Aside from Summon Skull and Dark Magician, Yugi's deck was never about monsters anyway. Yugi's deck was never even about the monsters anyway. It was always his magic and traps that saved him. Throughout the first part of Battle City, that being the preliminaries and the first round of the finals on the blimp, it's still the same 5, long after they all stopped being relevant. Not counting Dark Magician. Battle City Part 2. Now, with the new arc, starting in the Noah Virtual World arc, we have some new monsters including Chimera, the flying mythical beast, Buster Blader, Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior, Slifer the Sky Dragon, and of course, the Dark Magician, the only returning monster from this shot. Slifer is absolutely goated here, an Egyptian god whose power is based on your hand size of cards. I mean, he won it off Merrick in a very creative way, without actually overcoming its massive power. He was always reluctant to use it, but it did destroy his eternal rival, Yami Bakura. It was a big player in his Clash of the Ages with Seto Kaiba, and also helped him put away Merrick. So for sure, it was great, but not overused. Slifer the Sky Dragon is a spectacle. He can't be used every time, it ruins the mystique. Slifer is actually protected in that we rarely see him defeated by battle. How many times do you actually see the Egyptian gods defeated by battle? That's something to think about. Buster Blader, a very cool masked swordsman who gets a power boost over dragon types. Gee, I wonder if Yugi did this to beat Blue Eyes. I mean, with its effect, it's just 100 attacks stronger than Blue Eyes. It just beats it. Okay, seriously though, this thing is an absolute beast. Surprisingly, he's not played that often. But he does stand up against Slifer, so he'll always be goated for that. Chimera, the flying mythical beast. The fusion of a lion and a goat horn demon. This monster also rarely sees play. In fact, his fusion material is played way more, that being Gazelle the King of Mythical Beasts. His first appearance, he can't even defeat a defense position monster that's 4 stars, and then he's tributed away. Yeah, aside from his design, he's not really all that great. Yugi uses him against Gansley much later, where he gets a little more badass, but after that, not really much. He is used a fair bit in filler, like the Dome arc, and in the last duel. But still, that's long after he's shown here. Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior is less used if you can believe it. He's fused by the 3 Magnet Warriors, Voltron style. The Magnet Warriors themselves are like Yugi's go-to monsters, and often do fairly well in duels. Their fused form, not so much. He helps them defeat Loomis and Umbra, and after that, he rarely gets to shine again. For nostalgia, he is used in the final duel, and that's it. So for Battle City, we have 2 monsters whose materials get more screen time than them, a very cool but underused Dragon Slayer, and a God monster. For the rest of the series, this spot would be taken by the 3 Egyptian gods. Now these gods are very cool and very iconic, but this is about what they mean to Yugi. Obelisk is more associated with Kaiba than Yugi. He uses it all the time, and he absolutely loves to flex that he has an Egyptian god. The Winged Dragon of Ra is the final boss of Battle City, utterly devastating everything in its path. However, in Yugi's deck, well, Obelisk is used to help beat Marik and Ra. Yugi never really uses it. In fact, in the next arc, which would be the Doma arc, all the gods get hijacked anyway. They never really get played again up until, well, the last battle with Yugi and the town. And then for the rest of the series, the showcase monsters would be the Egyptian gods. Thank you for watching. I hope that was enjoyable to some people at least. This is just a little video to hold you over until the Yu-Gi-Oh! Complete Series retrospective starts. I am very excited about doing that. It will be coming very soon. Potentially next Friday. See you there, folks. Have a good one.